Hello, I'm going to be reading chapter 27 to 32. Let's get started. Chapter 27, The Broken Robot. The Sherrys found their robot powered off, lying in a ditch by the road. Her left leg was crumpled beneath her torso, and her right arm was twisted around a tree trunk, and her whole body was covered in new scrapes and dents. Together, the family heaved Roz into the bed of the pickup truck, where Oscar was waiting. The dog sniffed her broken body while the Sherrys climbed in beside him. Then Rambler turned around. The road was littered with debris from the storm, and the truck had to drive slowly. As they bounced along, Jad pressed the button on the back of Roz's head, and she powered on, and her graveled voice automatically said, "Hello, I am Roz, Unit 7134, but you may call me Roz." Oscar licked the poor robot's face, and Jad leaned in close. "Roz, can you hear me? Are you okay?" "Hello, Jad. I have broken limbs and minor damage to my computer brain. My systems are now repairing themselves. Please stand by." The robot's glowing eyes pulsed as her recovery program did its job, and before long, Roz sounded like her old self. "The computer brain is now fully functional." Jad wrapped his arms around the robot and sobbed. "I'm so sorry, Roz. It's my fault the tornado got you. Please don't be mad." Now Jaya was crying too. She pulled her brother and her dog and the robot into a big hug. Mr. Sheriff wasn't into much, but he reached over and laid his hand on Roz's shoulder. Then they stayed like that for some time, quietly holding on to one another. The shock of the tornado was fresh, and it felt good to be together. "Mr. Sheriff, I apologize for leaving the farm without your permission," said the robot. The man smiled. "No need to apologize, Roz. I'm just glad you're alive." "How are the cows?" said Roz. "The farm is a mess, but the cows are fine." Mr. Sheriff," "we'll take you to the repair shop right now. You'll be with your herd again soon." Chapter 28, The Shop. It was a small, sleepy farm town. A few trucks glided down the street, and a few humans sat on porches. A few stores lined the main square. Rambler parked in front of a bright white building. Then Mr. Sheriff left the children with Roz, and he limped inside. "Welcome to the Tech Lab shop," said a woman in a white suit. "My name is Nadine. How can I help you?" Mr. Sheriff was distracted by all the robots on display in the shop. They came in dazzling varieties of designs and sizes and colors. Standing still, eyes glowing calmly, waited for someone to pull them to work. When the man spotted a Rosin unit, he suddenly remembered why he was there. "I'm the owner of Hilltop Farm," he said, and Nash was hit by the needle. "I heard the sirens," said Nadine. "Is everyone okay?" "My family's okay, but I've got a Rosin unit outside who's in bad shape." The woman called over her shoulder, Patch, bring the Rosin repair kit. Pronto!" A robot marched into the room carrying a large case. He looked similar to a Rosin robot, but he was shorter and wider, and the word Patch was lightly etched on his torso. Mr. Sheriff led Nadine and Patch out to the truck, where the children were chatting with their robotic friend, and Patch quickly scanned the robot's broken body and announced the cost of the repair. The man stroked his chin, mulling over his option on The man stroked his chin, mulling over to the options until the children blurted out, "Just fix her!" Mr. Sheriff nodded and Patch sprang into action. With smooth, precise movement of the robot gently placed on the Roz ground. The robot gently placed Roz on the ground. Then they grasped her broken arm and her broken leg and twisted. There was a thwip sound, and each limb popped loose. Then he took a new limbs from the case and thwipped popped them into place. In a matter of seconds, Roz was whole and back on her feet. "Robot never ceased to amaze me," Mr. Sheriff admiring Robot's shiny new limb. "The makers really outdid themselves with these Rosin units," said Nadine. However, you have our most basic unit. Would you like to upgrade her software? Will it cost extras? Nadine smiled. "I'm afraid so." "Then this basic unit is fine," said Mr. Sheriff. "But I need to order a work crew. Can you send me over to fix my farm?" "Not a problem," said Nadine. "I'll send a crew over immediately." Chapter 29, Aftermath. The Aftermath. Hilltop Farm was hardly recognizable. Buildings were flattened, equipment was missing. Debris was everywhere. The farm had no electricity, and the computer system was out. After Roz picked her way through the rumble, she realized she was off the grid. It would be hours before Mr. Sheriff could check her electronic signals again. Was this her moment to escape? No, Roz couldn't leave the Sheriff's, not like this. Instead, she did what she could to help. The tornado had left behind a winding trail of destruction. Thankfully, it hadn't destroyed everything. The barn was leaning to one side, but it was still standing. Roz forced open the door and found cows nearly bunched together in a corner. "You are safe now," said Roz in her calmest voice. "How's everybody feeling?" The robot was answered by a chorus of moos. "How do you think we feel?" I'm a nervous wreck. My whole life flashed before my eyes." The robot raised her hand to quiet the crowd. "I'm afraid the tornado destroyed much of the farm, including the milking parlor," the cows gasped. "But my udders are about to burst," cried Tess. "Would you like me to milk in the old-fashioned way?" said Roz. One looked at the robot's clamping mechanical hands, and Tess shook her head. "No thanks, I can wait. An emergency crew is on its way," Roz explained, "but we cannot be in here while they work. Please follow me." The robot carefully led the herd outside through the wreckage, and Roz carefully led them through the wreckage and down the pasture. Some of the fences were missing, and the herding machine was broken. But the cows promised not to wander off, and they began gazing up in the wind-blown grass. 3 massive trucks rumbled in the driveway. Doors swung open, and a crew of robots workers climbed out. They let the robot checked in with Roz as the others began unloading supplies from the truck. Then the crew got down to business. Power tools buzzed, debris was cleared, fences were mended, holes were dug, machines were repaired or replaced, beams and walls and roofs went up, equipment and pipes were installed. Clearly, these robots were designed to work as a team. The Sheriffs wandered out back and stood with Roz. They watched as their farm was rebuilt before their eyes. Several crew members marched over to fix the house, fixed a hole in the roof, repaired shattered windows, finally rumbled Rumble and tools were loaded into the truck, and the robots fell in line. "Are you satisfied with your work?" said the crew leader. "I am satisfied," said Roz. And then the robots climbed back into their truck and drove away. Hours after it hit a disaster by a tornado, Hilltop Farm was better than ever. Chapter 30: The Gift. The children walked into the machine shop.